You're listening to the Power Agent Blogcast, empowering agents to elevate their business to the next level.
Challenges are just a guide, leading you, don't run and hide. You've got the heart, you've got the drive, feel it pound, you're alive. Power Agent.
If you're operating in one of those really tight, contested local real estate markets, you know that just cutting through the noise, it takes more than standard advertising.
Yeah, definitely more than just another bus bench ad.
Exactly. So today we're digging deep into a pretty specialized guide. It's something top agents use for community outreach. We're exploring a strategy that's, well, small, really rooted in the community, and actually surprisingly powerful.
Right. We're talking about sponsoring and creating these little community boxes.
Yeah, these little libraries, pantries, things like that.
And this strategy, it really goes beyond that typical transactional marketing, doesn't it?
It does.
It positions the agent less like a salesperson and more like a genuine stakeholder.
Yeah.
Someone invested in how the neighborhood is doing.
Mm-hmm. So our mission here is to analyze how these little structures, the libraries, the pantries, even play boxes, how they're used to, well, significantly boost an agent's visibility, build trust.
And maybe the most fascinating part, how they can indirectly bump up property values in their main farm area.
That's the kicker. This is where that local reputation really starts to translate into actual lead generation.
Okay, let's unpack this. Maybe define the basics first.
Yeah.
The source material talks about 4 main types of these boxes. They all have these kind of simple, shared community functions. Most people have seen the first one, right? The classic little free library.
Oh, yeah, the original take a book, leave a book. Super simple way to share literature.
But it gets broader than that, addressing more immediate community needs.
It does. The second type, and this one's really taken off, is the little free pantry.
Okay.
And the guy points out these are like a direct, very visible response to, rising food insecurity and gaps in basic needs.
So not just books.
No, they're stocked with essentials. Canned goods, sure, but also things like soap, toilet paper, shampoo, stuff that provides like anonymous, immediate help for neighbors who might be struggling a bit.
Right. So it shifts from maybe a want, like a book, to a real need for essentials.
Exactly. Then you've got the recreation side. The community play box. What's the thinking there?
So these are set up in parks, maybe near playgrounds. The idea is to stock them with sports gear. Think soccer balls, tennis rackets, jump ropes.
So families can just use stuff without having to buy it or lug it all there.
Precisely. It just lowers the barrier to getting kids outside and active.
Makes sense. And the last one.
The community toy box. It's basically a toy exchange system.
Okay.
Helps parents manage clutter at home, and kids in the neighborhood get access to new toys without constant buying.
Interesting. So you've got books, food, play, toys. But you mentioned symbolism earlier. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, that's key. The sources explain these structures, all 4 types. They serve as these really tangible symbols of an agent's dedication.
Tangible how?
Well, it's not just about charity, right? It signals this commitment that goes beyond just closing a deal. It says, I care about the long-term health and stability of the people living here.
So it's about building that social capital.
Exactly. That's how agents start building real social capital in the community.
Okay, I want to dig into that social capital idea because, that's the bridge to business growth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk visibility, brand awareness. Just putting up or sponsoring one of these boxes with your branding, your contact info, it creates this physical, permanent presence.
Totally. It's a marketing tool that doesn't need a monthly renewal fee. And that presence is super local, hyper local even, and it's always working.
Right. Not like a Facebook ad that scrolls by or a flyer that ends up in the recycling bin.
No, this box becomes a landmark. Every single time someone uses it or drives past or even tells a friend, hey, meet me by the little free pantry.
They see the agent's name.
Exactly. They're exposed to the name, the brand. So when the thought of buying or selling eventually pops up, that agent is already top of mind. They've built this kind of subconscious goodwill through just being helpful in the community.
Okay, but let's get specific on the branding. Because our listeners are smart, they'll ask this. If an agent partners with, say, the official Little Free Library organization, are there rules? Can they just splash their logo everywhere?
That's a really good question. And yeah, there are often guidelines, especially with the registered entities.
Okay.
The source confirms that while some official registrations might prefer, more subtle recognition plaques, the general advice is still to make sure the agent's name, logo, phone number are visible.
But tastefully done.
Tastefully, exactly, usually on the sides or maybe the inside of the door. But here's what the source really emphasizes. The act of keeping the box maintained and stocked. That's as powerful, maybe more powerful, than the logo itself.
The ongoing action.
Yes. The box becomes like an extension of the agent's personality, their commitment. They're physically, repeatedly showing they care. That builds way deeper trust than any static sign ever could.
And that commitment, that action, translates really well into public image, doesn't it? Let's look at the positive public relations angle. What should an agent actually aim for when they launch one of these?
They should definitely be thinking about local media coverage, like hyper-local,
What kind of outlets?
neighborhood blogs,
Yeah.
next door groups, those small community papers, maybe even a local online TV segment. The source highlights that these outlets are always looking for those feel-good, local, human interest stories.
Right.
So this kind of initiative immediately positions the agent in a really positive light, not just as someone trying to make a sale, but as like a local civic leader, someone contributing.
So how do they maximize that? Is it just build it and hope a reporter finds it?
Oh, definitely not. The guide is clear. Be proactive.
Okay.
Maybe create a little event around the installation, a grand opening and stocking day or something. Invite neighbors, maybe local officials.
Get some buzz going.
Yeah, and critically, agents need to create their own content too. Good quality social media stuff. Short videos showing the box being stocked, explaining how the play box works. That stuff is super shareable.
That's authentic.
Totally authentic. This kind of proactive PR, it mostly costs time, not big advertising bucks. And it generates this positive buzz that, frankly, traditional ads just can't replicate.
Okay, so beyond media buzz, the guide also talks about networking.
Mm-hmm.
How does building a little box help expand an agent's professional network?
Well, it kind of forces collaboration, which turns into a fantastic networking opportunity.
Oh, so?
It creates instant common ground. Think about it. You might work with a local artist to paint the box, right? Or maybe a neighborhood craftsperson helps with the build.
Ah, okay. You're suddenly working with people.
Exactly. You're forming these mutually beneficial partnerships. You might meet potential vendors, inspectors, skilled tradespeople, or even just people in the neighborhood who are really engaged who might be thinking of selling soon.
And these partnerships are built on doing something positive together, not a cold call.
Precisely. It's deep-level integration into the fabric of the community, not just surface-level stuff.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit to maybe the highest level of analysis, because this is where I think some skeptical agents might pause.
Mm-hmm.
This is where it gets really interesting. How does something as small as stocking a community pantry actually impact property values? We need to unpack that connection carefully.
Okay, yeah. If we connect it to the bigger picture, the link makes sense, but you're right, it's indirect.
Right.
It really hinges on concepts like neighborhood stability and that social capital we talked about.
How does an appraiser see that?
Well, when appraisers assess a neighborhood, they look beyond just the recent sales, the comps. They look at things like turnover rates, the general upkeep of the area, and increasingly, these kinds of signals of community vibrancy.
So visible signs that people care,
Mm.
that it's a strong community, that makes it more desirable for buyers.
Exactly that. A community that looks visibly thriving, engaged, where you can see neighbors looking out for each other, like with these boxes, that's a magnet for potential buyers.
Okay, these initiatives signal that the neighborhood has, like good social infrastructure, strong ties, a high quality of life. The agent's investment, even indirectly, helps lower the perceived risk of moving into that area.
And buyers will pay more for less risk and more community feel.
They absolutely will. Buyers often pay a premium for that feeling of assurance. It's the difference between just buying a house on some street versus buying into a genuine, supportive neighborhood.
The sources actually mention that seeing these kinds of things assures potential buyers that they'll be taken care of. That really taps into the psychology of buying a home, doesn't it?
It really does. Seeing a clean, well-stocked playbox, for instance, tells a buyer that the local agent whose name is right there is truly invested. That assurance. It can definitely influence a final offer.
And you're saying this can actually show up in the numbers?
Yes, it's quantifiable in the sense that high social capital neighborhoods often have lower turnover rates. That stability is a huge plus in an appraisal.
So the agent isn't just selling a house. No, they're actively helping to build neighborhood equity. That benefits the seller, obviously, with a potentially higher price, but also the buyer who's making a stronger investment. That's the real strategic power here.
Before we get into the how-to, I'm going to circle back quickly to client engagement. You mentioned connecting in a relaxed setting. Can you give an example of the kinds of conversations that happen at these boxes that just wouldn't happen at, say, an open house?
Sure. At an open house, everything feels a bit transactional, maybe a little guarded, right?
Definitely.
But at the little free library or while stocking the pantry, the interactions feel more, well, authentic. The sources describe agents just chatting with neighbors while they're refilling the toy box or adding cans to the pantry.
And the conversation isn't about listings.
No, it starts with community stuff, like, oh, we could really use more kids' books, or, hey, I noticed the soup ran out really fast last week.
It's like solving these little micro problems together.
Exactly that. And through that casual engagement, the agent gets to show their character, their commitment, long before commissions ever come up. They stop being just the realtor.
And become Sarah, the neighbor who keeps the pantry stocked.
Precisely. That trust is absolutely foundational. It means when that neighbor does eventually need an agent, making that call is easy, almost natural. It really transforms networking into genuine relationship building.
Okay, so this strategy is clearly this really smart blend of like public service and pretty sophisticated marketing.
It really is.
So if you're an agent listening and thinking, okay, I want to try this, the sources get practical. What are the options for actually getting these boxes built and installed? What are the logistics involved?
Right, implementation. You need to think about budget, time, and importantly, permissions. The sources lay out two main paths for getting the actual box.
Okay.
First, there's the DIY approach. Build it yourself or maybe with your team.
How hard is that?
The sources suggest a basic box needs maybe $150 to $250 in materials, lumber, some shingles, paint, and maybe 8 to 10 hours of assembly time. Could be a great team project, actually.
Yeah, team building with a marketing payoff. But what if you're not handy? Or you just want it done faster and maybe look more professional?
Then you go for the ready-made options. You can buy these boxes online pretty easily. Sites like Etsy have them, or the official Little Free Library and Little Free Pantry websites sell them too.
What's the cost difference there?
It's higher for sure. Usually somewhere between $400 and $750 for a professionally built, maybe even customized box. But it saves a lot of time and usually ensures you get something durable and polished looking.
Okay, build or buy, but then there's placement. This
Yeah.
seems critical. You can't just, stick a pantry in any random corner, right? What about permissions and local rules?
Absolutely non-negotiable homework. The guide really stresses checking local zoning laws and any HOA restrictions.
Ah, the bureaucracy.
Many places see these as accessory structures, so there might be rules about where they can go, how high they can be. If you're in a planned community, you'll likely need HOA or neighborhood commission approval.
So get permission first.
Always. Ideally, you want it on public property if allowed, or maybe a highly visible spot on a supportive neighbor's lawn. Somewhere it's easy to get to, 24/7. Because getting it wrong and having the box removed, that's really bad PR.
Yeah, the opposite of the goal.
Yeah.
But that attention to detail, getting the permissions right, that actually reinforces the agent's credibility too, doesn't it? Shows they know how local stuff works.
That's a great point. It shows they understand local governance, which is super relevant when you're dealing with property transactions anyway.
Okay, so let's try and synthesize this. We've covered a lot. Essentially, creating or sponsoring these little community boxes.
Right.
It seems like a genuinely powerful tool for agents who want to elevate their business.
Right. It's about showing up, demonstrating a real, tangible, long-term commitment to what the neighborhood actually needs. It goes beyond just ads.
It's about action.
It is. And this deep dive really shows us that maybe the most effective marketing tool an agent has today isn't the size of their ad budget, but rather their genuine investment in the collective well-being of the neighborhood they serve. That investment creates real social capital, enhances the area's appeal, drives buyer interest.
So it really ties everything together.
It does. And it leaves us with a pretty interesting question for you to think about. When agents get really good at using this kind of community appeal to boost property values, does their role start to shift? Are they moving beyond just facilitating deals and actually becoming, in a sense, neighborhood developers?
Yeah.
Actively building neighborhood equity, something to mull over.